In the aftermath of World War II, a moral quandary emerged from the ashes of the Third Reich. The United States, grappling with the looming threat of the Cold War, found itself poised on the precipice of a Faustian bargain. Project Paperclip, as this clandestine operation came to be known, sought to exploit the scientific genius of Nazi Germany for the benefit of American technological advancement. This pursuit of scientific progress, however, came at a steep ethical cost: the recruitment and protection of Nazi scientists, some of whom had been complicit in horrific war crimes. The moral implications of this decision were profound and far-reaching. Could the United States, a nation founded on principles of liberty and justice, justify aligning itself with individuals who had served a regime responsible for unspeakable atrocities? The allure of gaining an advantage in the burgeoning arms race against the Soviet Union proved a powerful motivator. The potential benefits of harnessing German expertise in rocketry, aeronautics and chemical weapons development seemed too significant to ignore. The decision, however, to embrace former enemies in the pursuit of national security would cast a long shadow. Project Paperclip represented a stark and unsettling compromise, one that forced a confrontation with the complexities of morality in the face of existential threats. The United States, in its pursuit of global dominance, grappled with the question of whether the ends could indeed justify the means. The ethical implications of this decision continue to resonate today, serving as a chilling reminder of the precarious balance between national interest and moral responsibility. This operation, shrouded in secrecy and driven by a potent mix of desperation and ambition, would forever alter the landscape of the Cold War. It would also leave an indelible mark on the American conscience, forcing a reckoning with the ethical implications of courting those who had served a regime defined by its brutality and disregard for human life. As the Allied forces swept across Europe, closing in on the heart of the crumbling Nazi regime, a sense of urgency gripped American intelligence officials. The war in Europe was nearing its end, but a new conflict, one with potentially even higher stakes, was already taking shape. The Soviet Union, once an uneasy ally against a common enemy, was quickly emerging as a formidable adversary. The race for technological supremacy, particularly in the realm of weaponry and espionage, was on. Amidst the ruins of the Third Reich, American strategists recognized a valuable, if morally compromised, asset: the scientific minds that had fueled the Nazi war machine. Germany, despite its defeat, possessed a wealth of knowledge and expertise in cutting-edge technologies, from rocket propulsion to chemical weapons. The prospect of allowing this intellectual capital to fall into Soviet hands was unthinkable. Project Paperclip, born out of this strategic calculus, was a gamble, a calculated risk to secure an advantage in the nascent Cold War. The operation, shrouded in secrecy and cloaked in ethical ambiguity, aimed to identify, recruit, and ultimately exfiltrate leading German scientists and engineers. These individuals, many of whom had played key roles in developing the V-2 rockets that had terrorized London and other Allied cities, were seen as both assets and liabilities. Their expertise was undeniable, but their past affiliations with the Nazi regime posed a significant moral dilemma for the United States. The architects of Project Paperclip, however, believed that the potential intelligence gains outweighed the ethical compromises. They argued that the expertise of these German scientists was crucial to counteracting the Soviet threat and ensuring American security in the post-war world. This rationale, while pragmatic, ignored the profound moral implications of providing sanctuary to individuals complicit in the horrors of the Nazi regime. No figure better embodies the complexities and contradictions of Project Paperclip than Wernher von Braun, the brilliant but morally compromised German rocket engineer. Hailed as a visionary genius by some and condemned as a Nazi collaborator by others, von Braun's legacy remains a subject of intense debate. His contributions to the development of American space exploration are undeniable, but his past involvement with the Nazi regime continues to cast a long shadow over his achievements. Born in Germany in 1912, von Braun displayed an early fascination with rocketry. He joined the German Society for Space Travel as a young man and quickly rose through the ranks, attracting the attention of the Nazi government. With the outbreak of World War II, von Braun's expertise proved invaluable to the Nazi war effort. He was recruited into the SS and played a leading role in developing the V-2 rocket program, a weapon of terror that rained destruction on London and other Allied cities. Despite his undeniable complicity in the Nazi war machine, von Braun managed to secure a prominent position in the post-war American space program. His expertise in rocketry proved instrumental in the development of the rockets that would eventually carry American astronauts into space. Von Braun became a celebrated figure in the United States, a symbol of American technological prowess and the triumph of human ingenuity. However, von Braun's past could not be entirely erased. His wartime activities continued to haunt him, and his legacy remains a source of controversy. Some argue that his contributions to the American space program outweigh his past sins, while others contend that his collaboration with the Nazi regime should never be forgotten or forgiven. His story stands as a stark reminder of the complex moral calculus involved in Project Paperclip and the enduring tension between technological progress and ethical responsibility. Before the official implementation of Project Paperclip, a smaller, more clandestine operation paved the way for the mass recruitment of German scientists and engineers. Known as Operation Overcast, this precursor program laid the groundwork for the ethical compromises that would come to define Paperclip. Initiated in 1945, Overcast focused on identifying and securing German scientists with expertise in fields deemed vital to American interests. The operation primarily targeted individuals involved in the development of advanced weaponry, including rocketry, jet propulsion, and chemical warfare. Operating under a veil of secrecy, American intelligence officers sought out these scientists, often spiriting them away from their homes in Germany and relocating them to secret facilities in the United States. The primary goal was to glean as much information as possible from these individuals before they could be apprehended by Soviet forces. However, Operation Overcast quickly evolved beyond mere intelligence gathering. As the Cold War intensified, the focus shifted towards leveraging the expertise of these German scientists for the benefit of the American military-industrial complex. The ethical implications of this shift were largely ignored. Many of the scientists recruited through Overcast had direct ties to the Nazi regime, and some had been implicated in war crimes. The moral compromises made during Operation Overcast set a troubling precedent for Project Paperclip. The willingness to overlook the past affiliations of German scientists in the pursuit of technological advantage established a pattern that would continue throughout the Cold War. This decision, driven by a combination of strategic pragmatism and moral expediency, would have far-reaching consequences, both for the individuals involved and for the ethical landscape of scientific research in the post-war world. Central to the execution of Project Paperclip was a systematic effort to sanitize the histories of the recruited Nazi scientists. Recognizing the potential for public outcry and political backlash, the architects of the operation engaged in a concerted campaign of historical revisionism. The goal was to obfuscate the extent of these scientists' involvement with the Nazi regime, downplaying their complicity in war crimes and presenting them as reformed individuals deserving of a second chance. This whitewashing of Nazi pasts involved a multi-pronged approach. Biographical information was altered, incriminating evidence was suppressed, and narratives were carefully crafted to paint these scientists as victims of circumstance, forced to collaborate with the Nazi regime out of necessity rather than conviction. The American public, largely unaware of the true extent of their involvement in Nazi atrocities, was presented with a sanitized version of events. This manipulation of history was not only deceptive, but also deeply unethical. It allowed former Nazi collaborators to escape accountability for their actions, and to integrate into American society under false pretenses. Furthermore, it undermined the principles of transparency and accountability that should govern government operations. The secrecy surrounding Project Paperclip and the deliberate distortion of facts eroded public trust and created a climate of suspicion. The long-term consequences of this historical revisionism were significant. The sanitized narratives surrounding these Nazi scientists allowed their expertise to be utilized without facing the full weight of their past actions. It also created a dangerous precedent, suggesting that individuals could escape the consequences of their crimes simply by possessing valuable skills or knowledge. This ethical compromise, made in the name of national security, ultimately undermined the very values that the United States claimed to uphold. At the heart of Project Paperclip lay a profound moral dilemma. Could the pursuit of scientific and technological advancement ever justify collaborating with individuals complicit in horrific crimes against humanity? This question, fraught with ethical complexity, plagued policymakers and divided public opinion during the Cold War. The moral calculus of Paperclip involved weighing the potential benefits of harnessing Nazi expertise against the undeniable cost of compromising ethical principles and potentially undermining the moral high ground the United States sought to maintain. Proponents of the operation argued that the existential threat posed by the Soviet Union necessitated unconventional and, at times, unsavory measures. They maintained that the intelligence and technological prowess gained through the recruitment of German scientists outweighed the ethical concerns. In their view, the United States had a moral obligation to exploit every advantage in this high-stakes battle against communism, even if it meant making uncomfortable alliances. Opponents of Project Paperclip, however, contended that collaborating with former Nazis, regardless of their scientific value, was morally reprehensible. They argued that it tarnished the image of the United States, undermined its commitment to human rights, and set a dangerous precedent for future conflicts. They maintained that true national security stemmed not only from military might, but also from upholding ethical principles and demonstrating moral leadership on the world stage. This debate over the moral implications of Project Paperclip raged throughout the Cold War and continues to resonate today. It highlights the enduring tension between pragmatism and principle, between the pursuit of national interest and the adherence to ethical values. The decisions made during this era, often shrouded in secrecy and driven by a sense of urgency, continue to challenge our understanding of moral responsibility and the limits of acceptable conduct in the pursuit of national security. And as always, give the video what you think it deserves.